Alright guys, in this video we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the add story form. Alright, so in order to see that form we have to be logged in, which I'll do in a second. One thing I want to do before we get to that is this icon right here is pretty small, so I just want to make this a little bigger. So what I'm going to do is go into our style sheet, our public CSS style.css, and right here I'm just going to say .nav wrapper .fa-bars. Okay, so that icon, I just want to set the font size to let's see, we're going to set it to 25 pixels. And then another thing I want to do is just add a margin top to the footer. So margin top 20. Alright, so we'll save that. And now that icon's a little bigger. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up our views and then go to stories and then add.handlebars. Okay, so we're going to add this form here. Again, this is going to be an HTML heavy lecture. So let's see, we're going to, under H1, let's put in a row. We're going to use a little bit of the grid system here. We basically want one full column row, so a 12 column row. So we'll say form. We're going to give it a class of call and a class of S12, like that. This, let's see, action is going to be /stories, and then method is going to be post. Okay, so that's our form tag. Inside here, we're going to put another row. Okay, so inside here we'll have a class of input field. This is just standard materialize markup classes. We're going to have an input with the type of text, and this is going to have a name of title. Okay, and we're going to put the label right below it. So we'll say label for title and title. Okay. That's our first field. Now what I'll do is copy, let's see, we're going to copy this row div and paste another one in. This is going to be the status. So they're going to get to set the status of their story to either public, private, or unpublished. So instead of an input, this is going to be a select, and we're going to give it a name of status. All right, and then we're going to put in some options. We'll say option times 3. Value, this first one will be public. This one will be private. And this one will be unpublished. All right, and I want public selected by default, so we'll say selected. Okay, and then for the title, I mean the label, that'll be status. Okay, and then under that we're going to have another row which ends here, so we're going to say row. Now this is going to be a checkbox for allow comments, because stories are going to be allowed to have comments, but the user is going to get to decide if the story if people can comment or not. So I'm actually going to put a paragraph here, and then we're going to say input. We're going to give it a type of checkbox. Type of checkbox. We're going to give it a name of allow comments, and we're going to give it a class of filled in, because I want this to be filled in by default. All right, it's also going to have an ID of filled in box, and this is all materialized stuff, guys. It says nothing to do with Express or anything like that. Let's see, we're also going to set checked equals to checked. It should be in quotes. Okay, and then underneath that there'll be a label, for allow comments. We'll say allow comments. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to have one more field, and that's going to be the body. So I'm going to copy this first div with the class of row. Go down here under this div, paste it in, and it's going to be a class of input field, except this is going to be a text area. So text area name is going to be body. And let's say, yeah, text area name body, and then we need an ending tag. And then for the label, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're not going to have a label here. We're going to put an H5 above it, and we're going to say, tell us your story. Like that. Okay, then we just need an input button that's going to go right above the ending form tag. We'll say input. It's going to have a type of submit, and the value will be save. Okay, let's also give it a class of button, or BTN. All right, let's check it out. So we're going to have to log in to see it. Okay, we'll click the add button. Let's see, that does not look right. And I think that's because the select, when you use a select and materialize, you actually have to initialize it, which is kind of weird. So we're going to go over to main.js. This actually stumped me for quite a while, but we need to go to main handlebars, and go down to our custom script here, and we're going to say jQuery select, and we need to call dot material underscore select. All right, so we'll save that. Let's go back over here and reload, and now we have our select, which looks pretty nice, by the way. So that's our form. Now, as far as the story text area, this is completely up to you. If what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement something called CK Editor, which allows you to, it's basically a WYSIWYG editor. It's a what you see is what you get editor, and it allows you to have HTML inside of it. And the reason I want to use it is because when the user goes on a new line, if they type in something and they click enter, if you just keep it the way it is with this text area, it's not going to actually show on a new line in the output, okay, in the actual story when they're reading it. I want it to create a paragraph tag on enter. So implementing CK Editor is really easy. And you may have a different way of doing this, or a better editor, I don't know, but this is just what I usually use. So let's see, I actually want to search for CK Editor CDN. And this page here, we're going to grab this script. We're going to go on over to our main handlebars, and we're going to put it, let's see, we're going to put it right above our custom script. Okay, right below the materialize.js. And then we're going to go down here underneath the document ready, and we're going to say CK Editor dot replace, and then in here you can put whatever the name of the text area is. In our case, it's body. Okay, because if we look at our add page, the text area has a name of body. So any text area that has a name of body is now going to be replaced with the editor. So if I save this and we go and we reload, we get a full editor. Okay, now this is not really a good idea because we're saving our stories inside of a database, and this allows them, basically they can click the source and they can put any HTML they want in here. And I think there's automatic protection for like script tags and stuff like that, but I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to enable a couple different things. I just want this. I don't want them to have the source button and like format and all this crap. So what I'm going to do is pass in an extra parameter, which is going to be an object, and we're going to say the plugins that we want are going to be the WYSIWYG area. So it's what you see is what you get, area, like that, toolbar, basic styles, and link. So they can put a link in there. All right, so let's save that. Let's go back and reload. That's not right. Maybe there can't be spaces here. There we go. So now basically they can type, and when they hit enter, it's going to actually be a paragraph. It's going to be on a new line in the front end when people are reading the story. They can also choose to bold stuff. They can also put a link in. Okay, so they can put a URL. They can choose to target. But it's up to you. If you want to go to the CK Editor website, you can see all the different plugins available. And this is just one way to do it. If you guys have another way, that's absolutely fine. If you want to just leave it as a regular text area, that's also fine. All right, but now that we have our ad form, what we'll do in the next section is we're going to start to create our stories model so that we can insert stories into our database.